Verse number 41. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayina. So we are already shifting from Sankhya Yoga to Karma Yoga. So here, this is a very beautiful point. This is called, transition period, or you can say connecting verse. So this connecting verse highlights that you need to have a buddhi. Buddhi means intellect, decision making faculty. That means you need to have this buddhi. And what sort of buddhi? Says vyavasayatmika buddhi. So what is that vyavasayatmika buddhi? Bhagavad. Oh, so good. So what is that vyavasayatmika buddhi? General translation is what? As I was hinting you. So vyavasaya means business, okay? Business-minded buddhi. How is it? How it sounds? In fact, Bhagavad Gita highlights to do business. Also, you can take literally nothing wrong in it, okay? To be very honest. You need to have a business. I can tell you openly. In North India, there is a community called a business community. Let me not name that. Let me not bring the name of the community, but business community. You'll be shocked to know that even if in their family, let us say father borrows some money from the son, or father gives some money to the son, it will be written, this time I have given you this much money, you have to return me. So also other way around. They are very clear in that business approach. In fact, that is the only community. They are all over India. We have saying, beautiful saying, that they travel always with a blanket and one mug. And anywhere, especially you see, they started with cloth merchants, then electricity, anywhere, all over India, they are spreaded. And luckily, around whatever, okay, let me not get into the religious aspect, let us keep it aside. What I am highlighting here is, this is called vyavasayatmika buddhi. They are very clear in their approach, you understand? And why and how we'll see in keeping with. I have seen another case. One businessman told me, Swamiji, I never spend money in my life. I said, what are you talking? Yes, I never spend money. Then I always only invest. And he went to that extent, I'm not telling you jokes. He said, when I spend some money for my family, I consider that I am investing. And I give a plan, I give a proposal, so that the output should be more. And based on the output or promised output, I invest. What an approach, okay? Hey, don't ask me whether it's good or bad, okay? That's not our topic discussion here. So to make it very clear, here is being highlighted. How a businessman, if you want to take literal meaning, but it's not like that, how a businessman is very clear in his approach. That the relationship does not matter. Relationship is secondary in comparison to money. First priority of a businessman is money, nothing else. Means the person is very clear. Here is saying, highlighted, that vyavasayatmika buddhi means well ascertained discriminative faculty. Not wavering, not fluctuating, not getting carried away. That is called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. And how it can happen? When understanding is being clear. And what is that? Here it says, with reference to moksha. That is the most important aspect. So if you are very clear that how moksha can be gained, even though there is nothing to be gained, but how one can gain moksha. And there is no four paths. There is not many paths wherever you are. And you can approach, but there is only one approach. That you need to understand that you are already a free person. You need to understand that all the illusion that you have is nothing but your ignorance. That knowing is the only one means. So when you are sure about your destination called moksha, freedom, generally people are not aware of it. Each one think moksha in a funny way. You talk to a religious person. For him or her, moksha is different. Liberation is different. If you ask youngster, different. Spiritual people, different. Philosophers, entirely different. So each one holding on to one standpoint, they do talk, do highlight about moksha, and based on that they approach. And when the destination is not clear in them, the concept of moksha is not clear in their mind. That's why the approach or means the sadhana not only, please understand, not only is it different, also keeps it changing. So here is being very much highlighted that the person with the previous discussion, person is very clear that moksha something cannot be achieved. Moksha is not something to be achieved in life. In fact, your nature is a moksha swarupa, you are a moksha swarupa. In fact, you are a free person, whether you like it or not. But unfortunately, you consider yourself, you are a bound person. That's why whole process is nothing to work with you, with your thinking, with your limited thinking, with your habitual thinking, with your comfortable thinking. So here the sadhana, what we call in the beginning as karma yoga. Later on comes jnananishtha. Is nothing just to make sure that you are working with your way of thinking. So here is being highlighted, O Kurunandana. So Kurunandana again being highlighted what? You belong to the lineage of Kuru, means your forefathers stand for something. That means take up this case, okay, challenging different way. O Arjuna, O Kurunandana, what happens? Because of this, because of lack of well ascertained buddhi. And why, for whom it happens? Because those who are indiscriminate. And why you are indiscriminate? Because when you give importance or priority to your comfort, to your immediate result, to your immediate, something which is immediate, you need it. Then what happens? then automatically things are different. It's like very simple. To become comfortable, please understand, to get different type of comforts, you need many type of means. Good food to start with, okay? Whatever is coming to my mind, I am trying to ignore, okay? Good food, maybe good house, not maybe, definitely, okay? Ambience, okay? Suppose if your house happens to be on the city and all the time, Indian city, okay? Not European city. Imagine, you will go crazy. Night also you cannot sleep. I have gone through, okay? So, then, not only that, you need good food, good ambience, good people with whom you can share, with whom you can spend some time freely, where you are being accepted as you are. That is the most important aspect in life. People look for, go crazy for that. So that means to get comfort, you have so many types of means. You can see, you can add your way, your car, and different type of car, you understand? Whereas, to be comfortable, please understand, to get comforts, you need everything. But to be comfortable is you who should resolve, you who should take it up. But people think getting comfort is making one's own self comfortable. Please try to see the difference. Getting comfort is equal to me being comfortable. It's not like that. This is what the whole problem we all have. I can have all comforts. Still I can keep complaining I don't have anything. You understand what I am trying to say? And I may not have any sort of comfort. But if I know how to make myself comfortable, that's enough in my life. And this can happen when there is vyavasayatmika buddhi. You understand the importance of vyavasayatmika buddhi? That well ascertained buddhi, that I am someone who can be comfortable at any given situation. That's why to bring this concept I am bringing it. There are two types of comforts. One is external comforts. Second one is called internal comfort. External comfort are many, whereas internal comfort is one. External comforts depends upon many factors. Depends upon people, especially depends upon money, depends upon this, that, because external comfort is related to your sense organs. And based on the void that is created in you, knowingly or unknowingly, when that void is being managed, then what happens? Externally you become comfortable. Whereas internal comfort is something which does not depend upon external factors, but it always depends upon your own understanding. So here is being taught that vyavasayatmika buddhi helps to develop, to stick to rely upon, to trust on internal comfort. And that is what is being highlighted. Whereas for those who are indiscriminate people, for them, remember, everything is endless, everything is different, and finally, remember, everything becomes meaningless later on. This is I am adding it. That's why as we start growing further and further, age-wise at least, we discover that living has no meaning. Have you not observed that? So whenever you come to a conclusion that my living has no meaning, make sure you would need to have clear picture with reference to freedom, happiness or comfort. So externally, you can say that you can be looking for comfort. If you want to talk about religious way, moksha. If you want to talk, freedom in common way, or you can say that happiness. However, it is very clear that you need to see it very carefully. So once you see this thing, then what happens? Remember, there are many times you will get carried away. In fact, few verses continues to highlight how different people do talk different. And if you are not sure, if you are not clear within yourself, the concept of moksha, the concept of liberation and freedom in you means exactly what you want in your life. If you are not clear, then what happens? Don't worry, there will be distractions. There are many types of distractions will come. Let us read. Yami mam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitah vedavadarata partha nanyat astiti vadinah. Yami mam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitah vedavadarata partha nanyat astiti vadinah. Says beautifully. Please understand. What to talk of common people? A common people always fluctuate. In fact, I always highlight, when you fluctuate, you become a common person. It's not like common people fluctuate. It's wrong. Whenever you fluctuate, you become common with reference to anything. For example, if you are let us say, in job, if you fluctuate, what they will say, this fellow not trustworthy. That means you become a common person in that job. In a relationship, if you fluctuate, then what happens? You become common. In fact, you become unwanted. In business, if you fluctuate, you become unwanted. You become common. Anywhere you fluctuate, you become unwanted. Remember, this is the most important point to note. That is what is being highlighted here. That this beautifully point is only those who are what? Non-discriminative people. And why they are called non-discriminative? Their discriminative power is not strong. Why? Because they are always engaged in action. For what? Beautifully, only keeping one thing in my mind, that in their mind is called result. So keeping the result in my mind, in their mind, they are engaged in activities. So for them, action is not important, but the result is more important. What I am going to get out of it, that is the first take home. You understand? Let's say any talk, what is take home? What is take home? Like somebody said very nicely, Swamiji, I don't care what work they give, what position they give in the job. I would like to know what is take home. Because there are a lot of variations, a lot of things. They may give you more money, but the way they do the tax calculation, God only knows how and what. So like that, here is very clear. You need to see that the person must be very clear. And he says bitterly, not common people. Here he says, Veda Vadarataha. And who are the Veda Vadarataha? Those who are well known people, especially those who know Veda, Veda means here Karma Kanda, okay? The Karma Kanda portion of Veda means where talks about result and its action and its result. So that means they also are sometime, not sometime, most of the time, indiscriminative. Because for them, going to Swarga will come next. Going to a particular loka is called moksha. Like for example, if you think that going to a particular state, meaning meditation, is called liberation. You also come under that category, don't worry. We have to look at that aspect also. Because here all these people, because even if they are not ordinary people, they are karmakandins. They have the knowledge of Veda. They are following it. In fact, they accept Veda as a pramana. They have their guru, everything. But in spite of all the possibilities, still they are indiscriminative people. And not only that, the worst part in life is, that time you know that you are fluctuating, or you should know that you are fluctuating. That time you can come to a conclusion. I'm sorry, but carefully I'm using the word. That time you must know that you have come to a conclusion, or you can come to a conclusion that you are a indiscriminative person. When you argue on your emotions, whenever you argue and just try to justify with reference to your emotions, whenever, that particular moment, you are definitely an indiscriminative person. And even if that thought of arguing, proving is there in you, that time also you are indiscriminative person. So that's why here, when you argue, what you do? You present beautifully. You think that you are presenting beautiful. That is the most important aspect, okay? But other person thinks, oh, you are stupid, okay? But you think, wow, I have done the best. Like, very nicely we have beautiful saying that Ostranam vibhaya Ganam gayanti gadharva. Just imagine, okay? So the camel's marriage, okay? So when all the camels are getting married, now orchestra is being done by whom? Donkeys. So when this beautiful orchestra is going on, then what happens? And parasparam prastuvanti. Each one starts praising each other. What? This gadhas, this donkeys, gadharvas. Donkey says, oh Rupa, what a beautiful body you have. To whom? To camels, okay? Wow, such a nice, wow, the way you walk. So when this praise is being done by these donkeys, so in return they have to retaliate, they have to reciprocate. So what is that reciprocation? He says, oh Dhoni, what sort of singing you are doing? What a voice, what a melodious voice you are singing it. Just imagine, such a beautiful way of looking at it. So also when you argue, you also think that you have done your best. Because after all, you are not presenting, vomiting yourself, knowingly or unknowingly. That's why automatically all your vocabularies, which we have seen in the past chapter, okay? How Arjuna used all the vocabularies, and we have taken enough of time to describe in details. So the flowery words, this is what is being saying. Flowery words. Pushpitambacha. Means whatever knowledge you have, whatever vocabulary you have, everything will come out very systematic way to prove how stupid you are or what you are thinking is right. Remember, whenever you come to a conclusion that whatever you are thinking is right, that time, most of the cases, you are indiscriminate person. Except some exceptions. Let us read next. Kamatmanak surgapara janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeishwarya gatim prati kamatmana surgapara janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeishwarya gatim prati. Here it uses this word. Each people have got their different goal. A child has its own target. Based on that, child does everything. Like for example, child's target is to play, to kill time. That's why you can see, child always does everything based on play. Have you not observed? That means wherever child finds its interest, that becomes the first priority of the child. So that means each one of us work for the goal, thinking that that goal is everything. From your childhood you have seen, only problem is your goal keeps changing. Your target keeps changing. Sometimes it was education, sometimes it was job, sometimes it was boyfriend, girlfriend, sometimes child, sometimes whatnot, then finally don't ask. Here is being highlighted. Being this karma candians, being this Veda Vadarataha, those who are studying Veda. So for them, what is that? For them, their highest goal is what? Not here, but going to heaven. So they are not thinking for 1 year, 2 years or 100 years. They are thinking for million years. This is the difference, okay? They are very smart, so they are more interested in million years. And sometimes to get Indrapada also, okay? To become the king of all gods. So that enjoy. But what hell you will go through, that's another thing. Let us not talk, okay? Poor Indra sometimes. That's another part of it. However, coming to the point, that's why, especially in Hinduism, every god, both sides, every gods, both sides being represented, not only one side. However, so those who think that heaven is ultimate, going to heaven is ultimate, you should listen to them, how they speak flowery words. In fact, all religious people, whether it is Christianity, whether it is Islam, whether it is Jainism, only words are different. They have target to go to different local fields of experiences. And what are the sermons they give? So all are very flowery and very convincing. And of course they will say, look, what is all about it? Kriya Vishesha Bahulam Bhogeishwaryam Gatim Prati. For that they do prescribe different type of actions. Somebody says, love your neighbor, okay? Okay, I am not able to, that die word came, but it did not come properly, so I am changing it, okay? Love your neighbor. How is it possible to love my neighbor? Tell me. I can love anybody and everybody. Not my neighbor. Please don't teach me, don't inject this sense of guilt in me, okay? At least if you say, love your unknown person, I can agree to it, okay? I don't have any problem. How can I love? Please understand. What I know it, I cannot love. This is my addition, okay? Don't look at anywhere. However, so somebody says, do not love your neighbor. Somebody says, no, you should be non-violent. Ahimsa paramo dharma. And you need to practice non-violence, blah, blah, blah. So each one, they make it very clear that you need to do this. For what? Very clear there. Because they understand by doing this thing, you will have better janma, better way of living, including, please understand, including Christianity. At least you will lie down in peace, live in peace. Rest, not live in peace, rest in peace. Reap. So that means what? If you do good karma, you will rest in peace. That means again what? It is related to pleasure and power. What is power? To make sure you can be peaceful when you see that your neighbor is not lying down next to you. You understand? Imagine you are resting in peace and your neighbor, especially your mother-in-law, to whom you hate, your father-in-law, to whom you hate, is just above you or next to you. This is my imagination, okay? You cannot rest in peace. In fact, you will keep crying and crying and crying. So that means what? You need to have power. At least you should have your individual place where you can rest in peace. In fact, if you stretch your hand, leg much more, not like no tight way, okay? Still, nobody should be around you. This is my again addition, okay? What I mean here is that each one do work for the betterment of life, whether it's when they're alive or after death. And they think that is called betterment when you have more pleasure and more power in life. So the betterment of life, people think, is directly connected to more pleasure and power. The more you have pleasure and power, the more people think that they are in a better situation. But in reality, it's not like that. How? Let's look at also. Bhogeishwarya prasaktanam taya prahuta chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhu na vidhiyate. Bhogeishwarya prasaktanam taya prahuta chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhu na vidhiyate. Says beautifully. If you observe your life, whenever you are related to pleasure and power, bhoga aishwarya, then what happens? Automatically you get attached to it. It is like a magnet. How this iron and magnet, they are connected to each other, attracted to each other. So also the mind is always attracted towards pleasure and power. Wherever there is pleasure and power, mind will go for it. In fact, I call it as pleasure and power is a magnet and the mind is iron. So poor iron is helpless, is restless, in this case restless, in front of magnet. And wherever there is pleasure and power, with related to that pleasure and power, mind is restless. Can you see this point? So that means that time my mind is restless. Where mind perceives, where mind imagines, where mind is deprived of power and pleasure. Can you see this point? That's why you can see a child, I observe the child very well. If the child is restless, hand over some chocolate. Then what happens? Child keeps quiet because he enjoys that chocolate. Nowadays the best way of, because nowadays everything is very short and less, because somebody told very nicely. Swamiji, people don't have time to read. It means people are not, they have plenty of time to read, but they don't have that much, let us say, interest and strength to read long. So their time span is to read only Twitter, not even in Facebook. People don't read in Facebook, because Facebook you can write long. So only Twitter account, whatever writes, that much people can read. Means people thinking has become so low day by day. Very unfortunate thing. But here, let us look at this point is, when a child nowadays, not only chocolate or good food, I remember in our childhood, if you give good food, child is with you. You don't have to think of anything. Give some good food, child, that's all. Child is being sold. Whereas nowadays, if you hand over a computer or a phone with this Cartoon Network and whatnot with proper way, child is sold. You understand what I am trying to say? This is a new definition, I am adding it nowadays. So what I am highlighting here is, child discovers pleasure there. So once child discovers pleasure there, now child is no more restless. In fact, very restful. In fact, have you not observed? Whenever child is keeping quiet in our days, nowadays I don't know. To be very honest, I need to observe. That time we keep quiet when we have done some mischief. And enjoying that mischief, you understand? That is called power, unknown power. Wow, I did this thing. Wow, let us see what is going to happen. You understand what I am trying to highlight here is? So that means indirectly and directly, mind is connected to both power and pleasure, or rather pleasure and power. And when mind is related to pleasure and power, oh, I am taking more time today, sorry. Then slowly what happens? Mind is deeply attached to it. That is what is being highlighted. And once mind is being deeply attached, then what happens? Definitely that mind cannot really understand anything. So if you manage to remove mind from there, and really because mind is completely there, you are restless, and that mind, most important aspect, cannot have vyavasayatmika buddhi. It is impossible for that mind to develop vyavasayatmika buddhi. So in short, as long as you are looking for power and pleasure, or better pleasure and power, that long you cannot have both pleasure and power. This is clear. Only you will remain in the imagination of having pleasure and power. But don't worry, then how to grow out of it? What is to be done? The next verse says, which is beautifully, which we will see tomorrow, Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nastrigunya Varjuna Nidando Nityasattvastaha Niyogakshema Atmavan. The key point that we'll talk tomorrow. Please close your eyes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.